What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and if you're following along with the disaster that was Resident Evil, man alive, do I feel bad for Resident Evil fans. You know, even like the Mila Jovovich video or movies, none of them were very good in my opinion, but at least it was like, okay, it's kind of Resident Evil-esque in some way, shape, or form. Like, how hard would it be to make an awesome Resident Evil series, even like around Village, Village or so, something like you could smaller scale, where you could have more spooks and scares and more pressure. Instead, we just get woke trash, and Netflix decides, hey, we're gonna do Raccoon City the right way by making sure everyone's the right color and we check all the right boxes. And then they're like, oops, you forgot to write a good show. And we're going to get into all that after a quick word from this video's sponsor. Huge shout out to this video's sponsor, Established Titles. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. They allow people to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land so they can call themselves a lord or a lady officially. In return, they commit to plant a tree with every order and protect the beautiful, pristine woodlands of Scotland. Established Titles makes an absolutely amazing gift, and a person could officially get their name changed on documents. Their title pack gives you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate and an official certificate with a crest. Established Titles is currently having a really big sale just for you, my subscribers. You can get an additional 10% off any purchase you make with the discount code TheQuartering. So click the link below, go to establishedtitles.com/TheQuartering and use promo code TheQuartering to save an extra 10% today. Now, if you look, this was one of those shows that kind of everybody agreed that was garbage. Even the critics only gave it a 55%. Fans gave it a 27%. There were innumerable articles talking about how, it was essentially woke trash. It had no chance to survive. You see, Netflix's Resident Evil series destroyed on Rotten Tomatoes. Fans aren't happy with what they see in the new show, but of course, their critics apparently approve. Although, I wouldn't say that, as 55%. Fans are voicing their opinions on Rotten Tomatoes on how the new Resident Evil series on Netflix debuted Thursday and is not good. This is back when it dropped. Netflix's Resident Evil series currently has a Rotten Tomatoes audience score of only 30%, the lowest scoring of any Resident Evil franchise that usually averages around 60 or so percent from fans, because we'll take all sorts of abuse. We'll just, as long as we love the franchise, we'll continue to give it a try. It's like, how many people are going to be incapable of not watching The Rings of Power? What comes off as rather odd, not really, is that Netflix series happenings to have the highest score from critics, 62%. These are all changes at the time, but again, there's the lowest score from fans. Update, the Rotten Tomatoes scores plummeted, as of now the critic score is 55 and the audience is only at 24. I watched the first couple episodes last night and I felt like they were all right, and yep, it's full of forced woke nonsense, which of course explains why all the woke media giants gave it decent reviews as opposed to completely dumping on the other projects in the franchise that starred Mila Jovovich and Robbie Amell, etc., which all are averaged around 25% from critics. I don't think it's reasonable to sit here and try and make an argument that they were amazing movies, but, they were what they were. If they had like a 60%, I think that would be fair, 50, 60%. Netflix series does not star any white dudes. It features 2 woke teen girls that kick all kinds of rear and talk about all the white neighborhoods and how the boys are stupid and the girls are vegan, pro-animal rights, and against hunting, and all the men in the series are bad, including the race-swapping father Lance Reddick's played by Lance Reddick's Albert Wesker, sorry. And of course, the zombies are white dudes, etc. The series mentions the Coof and Elon Musk, among other things. It's one thing that modern writers, like the Zoomer writers, they think that's what people want, but they don't. It's like, hey, we get more inundated today with whatever political nonsense is going on than ever before in our lives. Don't we think that people want more of that in their escapism? Like, for me, when you mention like Elon in a show, it's immersion breaking. I don't want that. It's too bad. I felt the first episode started out pretty decently enough, But once the giant caterpillar is introduced, it's basically all downhill from there. The special effects are pretty good, too, so imagine if they had a good story, the series probably would do pretty well. IMDb also gave the show the lowest rating of the franchise, as it currently has a 3.4 out of 10, and previous averaged around 6. What's also interesting is that Netflix usually debuts new shows on Friday, but Resident Evil premiered on Thursday, so perhaps Netflix knew it would tank. Some of the reactions, 1 star, forget the video games, even if you had Resident Evil 2 64, with the N64 expansion pack, or were a PS user and started earlier, show started off great with a fantastic cast, one of my favorite actors, began to develop an interesting story, and then just dropped, abandoned all knowledge of science, technology, or medicine. Obviously, zero research was done, and the writers just used terms like concussion, shock, and stable because they didn't know that what they imply. Here's a half star. Yeah, this is the worst take on the game yet. Boring and terribly acted. This is a YA version of Resident Evil, and boy, is it bad. The first Resident Evil game was very cinematic, so why do they insist on changing it for these adaptations? 1 star. Someday they'll make a faithful, fun, and scary adaptation of Resident Evil, but today is not that day. And, inevitably, what happened is Netflix canceled it after just a single season. And I'm sure, predictably, we'll get the, deluge of articles that say, stupid white guys didn't watch enough of it, and, because it starred a strong, independent woman of color who don't need no man, that it's somehow men's fault that the show tanked. But first, we get the cancellation. The first live-action series of Resident Evil franchise will be a short-lived one. Netflix has canceled the series after just a single season. The decision comes 6 weeks after Resident Evil's finale. Just 6 weeks after Resident Evil's July 14th debut, and after both the streamer's own metrics and external measurements showed the series didn't have a long shelf life for viewers. The series was the first live-action show in the media spanning Resident Evil universe after a host of video games and movie adaptations of Netflix animated series that premiered in 2021. It's set primarily in 2036, 14 years after everything that happened, and centers on a young woman fighting for survival amid hordes of zombies and other monsters. I mean, I don't really know how stupid you had to be to think that this show had any chance whatsoever. It was cringe. It looked terrible. And it's like, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to start getting canceled more and more often, because these platforms, Netflix, Paramount, we see this right now. We see this right now with Warner Brothers. They really can't afford to miss anymore. And the competition is, it's like, hey, what's a unique selling proposition or USP for Netflix? Well, they have one of the worst adaptations of Netflix or of Resident Evil ever created. Sign up today. I mean, sure, they've got Stranger Things, and Stranger Things has their fans, but you could sign up for a month in December and binge watch the whole show. There's no reason to pay them the other 11 months. You like Black Mirror? Okay, watch it that same month. This is like, even though like some people forget about it, this is, I think, one of the best money saving tips that I can tell people. Just wait. Don't pay for Netflix and these other services, until the end of the year. Once it's, or at least here in the Midwest, when it gets cold, pay for them for like 2 months and then binge watch everything you want to watch and then cancel them. You would get immensely more value than letting them, drain your bank account every month when you're not even opening the app. I mean, the idea that like this show ever had any chance whatsoever is pathetic. And like, I mean, you look at the comments like, such a shame. Keep canceling good stuff and see how many subscribers leave Netflix. Who thought this was good? Who? They don't even try. I mean, it's like they got rid of Archive 81 and it left on a cliffhanger, and I thought that show was really awesome. They cancel that. They cancel Resident Evil. Just terrible decisions. Everyone involved at Netflix should be fired. Just terrible decisions all around, from the creator to network approval. Just embarrassing how badly they messed this up. Really high hopes for this, but it wasn't good at all. Netflix has more crap than good these days. I mean, that's kind of always been the case with Netflix, to be totally honest with you. Like, I mean, I'm glad it got canceled. Now, like Dragon Ball Evolution, Doom, and Super Mario Bros., we can all pretend it doesn't exist. Now it's going to be part of the zeitgeist for Resident Evil, and somebody somewhere someday will want to watch this show again. But I'm going to guess that that's going to be about 7 people. And this is what happens when you keep pouring your money into this woke trash. People don't want it. Look at woke Resident Evil series, tanks. I mean, we all know now what you're pushing when you're pushing this stuff. And like, again, I've always said, oh, it's possible to like be focused on diversity and inclusion and all this other stuff, and we want to have a message and make a good show. But I think I'm starting to think more and more that no, it isn't possible. That you literally have to just focus exclusively on making a good show. And the second you deviate from that, this is what you get. And I can't help but feel a little bit happy about it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click that red subscribe button down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.